Hello everyone. Well, for me it's pretty much the end of this 4-week online course, and on behalf of all of the team I'd like to thank you, those of you who have stuck with us until the end, for your participation. We've had a lot of interesting discussions along the way, and in this short video I'm just going to highlight one or two comments that have caught my eye this week before I say goodbye. This week we touched on issues such as the spread of English, English as a global language or global Englishes, English as a lingua franca, and issues around native speakers, who is a native speaker. A couple of things have come up in the comments that extend the topics beyond the ideas that we've presented in our materials, and I think it's great when that happens, so I'm going to highlight those in case those of you who are nearing the end of what we've provided want something else to wrap your brains around. So on step 4.5, Melissa made a comment about who owns a language, and she's received responses from Louise and Nancy in relation to that, bringing up the idea of there being, for some languages, and they're talking about the example of Spanish in this thread, for some languages, an official body whose role it is to kind of ensure the stability or to uphold a particular standard version of variety of the language. Louise and Nancy's comments, and mine, because I've butted in as well, are about inclusive language and about the debate about changing pronouns in particular to make the language more inclusive. I personally think that languages have to change sometimes to reflect the fact that some of the words, some of the ways we use language are old-fashioned and no longer reflect the attitudes and values that are acceptable in modern society. But I know that when new ways of using language and new words are introduced, they can sound odd and it can be quite hard to accept them. So that's an interesting issue. But the issue of the very existence of an institution, a national body or an international body possibly, to uphold standards or to prescribe what is correct and acceptable, that's an interesting issue in itself. And who was it? H. Jones, sorry, we don't have your first name, H. Jones. H. Jones has, on step 4.13, has also brought up this question in relation to English and, in fact, any language. You know, who should be the custodians of a language? Do we need such a body? I think it would be interesting to consider perhaps whether English would benefit from such a body, or who would benefit from such a body being responsible for the official standards of English. So there we go, some food for thought if you're looking for something to do and you've reached the end of the materials that we've provided. I know that it's not the end for all of you just yet, as at the time of making this video, there have been people joining all week. And of course the course remains open, so I'm sure some of your discussions will continue. But I'd also like to remind you to have a look at step 4.21 with our ideas for what next, because there are Facebook pages and groups, other courses that we suggest so that you can continue learning and continue connecting, maintain perhaps some of the connections that you've made here with like-minded people. So I wish you all the very best, and goodbye.